Hey horse lovers, today Gina and I want to talk to you about using patterns to help our horses learn how to navigate their nervous system. So it really boils down to, is my horse in a frame of mind to partner with me, or are the things that are working inside of her ready to resist me and my suggestions, my ideas? So the first thing I have to do is make sure that I'm convincing her that I have good ideas, that the things I recommend she do or ask her to do are in her best interests. And one of the most important ingredients to that is I have to remain a stable emotional force in the conversation. She's obviously not feeling very stable right now. Gina is innately a tense horse. She had a late start to her, Humansville education in her life. And so all of that just adds up to her having a lot of, difficulty dealing with novelty. And so right now there's a lot of novelty in her life. We're in the fall here in southern Iowa, so the season is changing. Part of the trouble with that is that the trees are losing their leaves. So now she can see into the woods where before she could not. And things are happening in the woods. There are squirrels and birds and other wildlife that create movement that often disturb her. And right now we have an extra special situation where the field next door is being harvested. So there's a smallish field, probably about 10 acres of soybeans being harvested right now. So there's a huge combine kind of moving in and out of her field of vision. It's a little bit windy. That's always a bit of a challenge for her. The extra stimulus makes it difficult for her to relax in the environment. So there's lots of things we can do to help her, and I've already done some of that in preparation for this. I wouldn't go to patterns right away necessarily. So I just spent the last 10-15 minutes showing her everything in the arena and giving her a chance to look around while trying to maintain a balance of not allowing her to get fixated on any one given thing. We've worked on responsiveness, and that even if there's stuff in the environment that grabs your attention, that's okay, but you still have to stay connected to me. Okay, so we've already established that in the last 15 minutes or so, and now I want to help her learn to navigate her nervous system, right, to self-regulate her stress right now. And one of the things she's worried about is that she's going to be in a situation where she's trapped with something dangerous. She already perceives the environment to be mildly to moderately dangerous. And if all I did was tell her, quit it, stop it, don't, I would continue to perpetuate her fear of being trapped. So instead, what I'm going to do is ask her to move in a way that I hope helps her to self-regulate, right? To get some access to the parasympathetic nervous system. She's mildly to moderately stuck with the gas pedal on the sympathetic nervous system where fight flight lives. Okay, so I'm not going to tell her to get relaxed. I'm going to set up a situation that I hope helps her relax. So one of the reasons I like the figure eight is that it's a forward pattern, right? She's a mover type horse. When she gets stressed, her default mode is get going. So if I try to prevent that from happening, I have the potential to make things worse. The second thing I like about figure eights is it's dynamic, right? She can go forward for a long time without thinking, right? She doesn't have to click into her parasympathetic nervous system to do that. In fact, the straighter her body is, the easier the access is to the sympathetic. The more bend and sideways that I put in her body, the more we encourage access to the parasympathetic, okay? So as she goes around these cones here, I'm going to think about two things. Can I get her to bend her neck, right? So yield to the halter as she goes around. And then I'm also going to try to get her hindquarters to move a little bit sideways through the turns. Those two things will physiologically give her access to the parasympathetic. And then beyond that, we're just going to stick to the pattern until it works. I had a situation yesterday where I was moderately to a lot more stress triggered, right? I had a stimulus in my environment that caused me to get upset. And I'm on a journey of trying to figure out how that works, with a level of consciousness about myself. And so one of the things I know that works for people is to move, right? To not stay stationary when you feel triggered. And so I went for a walk with my dogs, and I kept track of my heart rate on my Apple Watch. I didn't actually do it like this. I used my Apple Watch to keep track of my heart rate. It was elevated right away before I started walking because of my stress activation. And I wanted to see how far did I have to walk with my dogs before my heart rate started to return to what's normal for me when I'm walking the dogs. And it took 2 miles. I had to walk for 2 miles to use up all of the things that get in motion when we get stressed. All right, so I'm hoping it doesn't take that long with her. It took me 45 minutes to cover 2 miles yesterday, but it was well worth it. It helped me avoid, a long-term argument, or, it helped me to not have to apologize for things that I might say in a triggered state. So I'm hoping it doesn't take quite that long for her. She doesn't look nearly as triggered as I felt yesterday, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to send her through these 2 markers. I'm going to wait until her tail clears that cone. I'm going to back up and then send her back through again. Good. Bring her in, send her back. That looks really good. Now, this obviously isn't the first time I've asked her for this pattern. Otherwise, I'd have to use more pressure to get it done, but you can see we've used this. Good girl. Ding, ding, ding. That's what I was looking for. Some evidence of the parasympathetic, okay? When she blows out like that, she has to release the tension in her rib cage in order to be able to make that sound, all right? So it's a good indication to me that she's not accessing the sympathetic in that moment. That doesn't mean she can't flip right back into it. She's ready to at any given moment. She always is, no matter what. But that's a good indication that we're on the right track. Now, did I tell her put her head down? No. Did I tell her bend and go sideways? No, because she already knows the pattern. All I did was set up a situation that allows her to move her body in a way that gives her a chance at accessing the parasympathetic. So I would have been willing to keep it at the walk for as long as necessary. And moving forward, I'll start kicking it up into the trot and someday into the canter. But for now, I'm just real happy to get some evidence of the parasympathetic at the walk. All right, guys, I hope you found that helpful.